What's up, guys? Good afternoon. Happy Friday, and we've got some more Seahawks breaking news. The roster purge continues, and this time the casualty is a player who I would say is still pretty good, still got something left, and will quite possibly be missed by at least some of the fan base. Yes, it is Shelby Harris, the former Denver Bronco, part of that Russell Wilson trade. It looks like he has been released based off his post on Twitter, based off his post on Instagram. It looks like Shelby Harris has been released. Still waiting for absolute confirmation from the usual sources, but it does kind of make sense, right? Even though Shelby Harris is, I think, still a pretty good player. I think he played pretty well last year. He didn't put up big numbers. I know that. He only had like 2 sacks. I think overall he was a pretty good player in 2022 and probably still has something left for the rest of his career. However, one thing that I did say in recent months was that for what Shelby Harris is, I don't think you can justify having a $12.2 million cap hit for him for a season when, by the way, you already kind of know that, hey, he's probably not going to get better, right? He's about to turn 32 years old. He's probably only going to get worse. So I get it. I understand it. I'm not against it. The Seahawks save about $9 million against the cap with this release. They take on a dead cap hit of about 3.325 million. Call it 3.25. And they are now down to one defensive end on the roster. There's one defensive end on the roster right now who is actually of credit. I mean, there are a couple other guys, right? Like what's his name? Chris Garrett is on the roster right now. But in terms of like actual credible defensive ends, guys who can play end in a 3-4 defense, they got one guy right now, and it's Quentin Jefferson, and he may not be long for this roster either. So I will say I was hopeful that maybe we could come to an agreement with Shelby Harris on a redone contract, maybe do an extension, but it looks like that was not the case. I don't think we're going to bring him back. I feel like that if we were going to be able to bring Shelby Harris back, we would have probably just done it without releasing him. If we were going to be able to go to him and say, hey, we want to rip up your deal and do a new 1-year deal for less money, like maybe 6 or 7 million, that probably would have been done. So the fact that he's getting released tells me that it's unlikely. We weren't able to come to any kind of an agreement. And the fact that we are now, theoretically anyway, taking on this $3.25 million cap hit of dead money tells me that he's probably not coming back. So while that remains a possibility, I think that the Seahawks and Shelby Harris have decided to part ways. And I'll say it again. $12.2 million against the cap. There's no way he's going to be worth that. And that is a lot of savings, $9 million. $9 million, that may pay for Geno Smith's entire first-year cap hit. We still don't know what that exact contract is, but releasing Shelby Harris might fully pay for Geno Smith's first year. So when you think about it like that, it's kind of a no-brainer. Now, again, this leaves us with one rostered defensive end who has actually played credibly in the NFL, and it's Quentin Jefferson. So it looks like we truly are completely redoing this defensive line, which, hey, great news is in my mind. Defensive line was the source of all of our problems, or most of our problems last year. So now we have to address it heavily. If we don't, we literally won't have enough roster to field a real team. We're literally going to be hitting the field next year with offensive linemen playing defensive linemen if we don't heavily address it. So got to be done. For the moment, we do have an ERFA tag we can place on Miles Adams. I do think that he will alleviate part of the problem here. I think that he will be a very cheap and very cost-effective part of a defensive line rotation. But at the end of the day, you got to do a lot more. You got to do a lot more. And Shelby Harris, look, when you included him in the Wilson trade, you were expecting him to be a significant part of things. In some areas, maybe he disappointed you a little bit, But bottom line is, you still got to replace him. You got to replace what you were hoping you were going to get out of him. So on that level, I'm pretty excited because it indicates the team is going to take some swings here. What swings, we don't know, but you got to do something, or else you're literally not going to have a real defensive line. All right, so Shelby Harris looks like he's out of here. Got no beef with him, got no issue with him. I thought he, again, played pretty well last year. He's a good player, but we just couldn't make something more long-term or more feasible work out. And at the end of the day, it's a big savings, man. $9 million, you can do a lot with that. All right, see you guys later. Go Hawks. This could be the second of many significant moves, by the way. Would not shock me to see some more dominoes fall later today and over the weekend. All right, peace out. Go Hawks.